What's that? Why don't you recognize it? It's the Renault Duster. Hard to believe, right? But that's exactly what it is underneath. Yes, we know this is the new Renault Captur. No, it's pronounced Captur. And yes, this is a delicious new SUV from Renault, more premium than the Duster. And we're here to find out what makes it delicious, what makes it feel more special and more rich. Do we like it or not? Okay, it isn't a traditional and square SUV, but it has its own identity. Now, if you draw a line across the middle of the Captur and first look at the top half, you'd think this was a really stylish, large hatch. The crossover DNA bits like the downward swooping nose, the sharply angled A-pillar and the floating roof are responsible for this sporty look. And then if you looked at the bottom half, you'd think that was an SUV. To make it look tough, there is the plastic cladding. There are large 17-inch wheels and they look gorgeous. The Captur is about the same size as the Duster as well. In fact, the wheelbase is identical and nose to tail it is actually a little bit longer and a little bit wider. But when it comes to ground clearance, the Captur is on par with the Duster all-wheel drive, which means in an unladen state, it has a solid 210 millimeters of ground clearance. It looks like a lot. They said in the presentation last night that you could probably do this quite easily. They were right. On the outside, the Captur has got it all, which includes some French flair. I love how Renault can make designs organic, but at the same time make them look very technical as well. Take a look at the headlamps, for instance. And just for your information, full LED headlamps. First in class. There are also LED DRLs, swipe-style turn indicators, and cornering functionality for the fog lamps. The geometric design for the grille makes a brilliant backdrop for the Renault logo, which sits there like a jewel. And the Renault family genes are lurking all around. The rear, it is distinctive, but we're going to do some more slicing and dicing and try and show you something. We'll split it right down the middle here, and then just let us know if the top half or the bottom half remind you of any other cars. Renault will also offer customization options. There are two standard packs, Urban Connect and Diamond Deck. There is also a chrome accessory pack on offer. This is all in a bid to make every Captur look special. Okay, this is no 3-row SUV and its boot space is 392 litres, which is about 100 litres less than a Duster. But the deep bay should be able to pack in a fair amount of luggage. And now let's hop inside. Now I know we shouldn't constantly be comparing the Captur to the Duster, but we can't help it because they do share a lot, but at the same time the Captur is very different, and one of the big reasons is the design for the dashboard. A very simple design with soft lines but a strong design overall. A theme that I like a lot is the way this shoulder line from the door pad runs into the dash and then goes across it. And the other reason why this feels better than the Duster is because of the plastics. Are they soft touch variety? No, they're not. They still got that hard knock, but the design, the texture for the plastics looks really nice. It even actually feels richer than what you would expect for something that sounds like this. So overall, the sense of richness is higher. Of course, yes, soft touch plastics would have been nice. That aside, you do get some elements in the design which are soft to the touch, like for instance for the door pads here and here on the armrest as well. And interestingly, for India, Renault has created this platinum variant, which is like the top of the line variant of the Captur, which is right now being offered only in India. The Platinum variant uses white and gold colors inside the cabin. White, as you can see, is used for the lower dash and for the beautifully quilted leather seats, which look good and feel snug as well. The gold elements are restricted to the metallic-looking plastic inserts around the circular aircon vents and the infotainment screen at the center. The really striking feature though is the instrument cluster. The design, the layout and the displays just look super funky. On the features front, this top-spec Captur gets a smart access card, an engine start-stop button, automatic headlamps and wipers and auto air conditioning, which looks familiar but it feels better to use and also gets a light surround. And there is the 7-inch touchscreen infotainment system. Yes, it looks familiar but it has been tweaked to offer better performance. As on other Renaults, it offers inbuilt navigation and this also has reverse parking sensors. The infotainment system also includes a decent Archimist-tuned 6-speaker setup here. But a big negative is that there is no Android Auto or Apple CarPlay on offer. Now, the Captur, the India spec one, is also sold in Brazil and Russia, but it's only for the Indian market that you're getting an armrest at the rear and aircon vents. This cools the rear portion of the cabin quickly to get you comfy. However, the under-thigh support could have been better. Other than that, the rear seat is admirable. This is quite well set up. For instance, the seat cushioning, just right. And if you look at the seats themselves, they're scooped out just the right amount to give you some amount of support, not too aggressive. That aside, plenty of knee room, great amount of headroom, and you'd be surprised, sitting 3 abreast here isn't too tight. But you do feel that space is tight, and that's more to do with the cabin design. You have those steeply raked A-pillars, and then along with that, over here you can see that the window line is quite high, so that just makes it feel a bit cramped, but it's actually quite usable. Also, the tall front seats heighten this sensation, but there is a strange sensation here as well. Now you might think, me being the shorty that I am, I have pushed the seat height up so that I can see further. But nope, that's not the case. The seat is set to its lowest position right now and I'm still all the way up here. That's because the seats generally are set quite high. So if you're a 6-footer or taller, the headroom is going to get tight here. The lack of a telescopic steering adjustment means that finding the right seating position will be a little tricky. But now, let's get going. In terms of engine options, the Captur will be available with a 1.5 litre petrol and the 1.5 litre diesel that we are driving right now. This is the top-of-the-line 110 PS version that we've seen on other Renaults like the Fluence, Logi and Duster. As before, it is combined with a 6-speed gearbox, but here it feels a bit different. What I absolutely love are the gear shifts. Really short throw, feels nice and snappy, not particularly smooth, but yeah, you can really rush it through still. So you'd be happy to work the gears. But there is that familiar downside. The clutch, it's not particularly light, so if you're stuck in real stop-go traffic, strong calf muscles on the left leg. Yeah. Renault claims that the engine has been recalibrated for the Captur, but it doesn't feel all that different. Now we are familiar with this engine. Under 2000 RPM there's decent drivability, but past that mark, this thing really starts to flow. And in fact, it's only when you put it in eco mode does power seem to taper off past 4000 RPM. Otherwise, it'll rush right along and makes it really handy out on an open road. Use the eco mode and the spike in power delivery in the mid-range gets blunted. And so does the performance as the rev counter heads past 3,500 RPM. This makes driving the Captur in stop-go traffic more smooth and a bit dull. But it will surely help with fuel efficiency. Official curb weight figures or the fuel efficiency figures aren't available as of now.
but we would expect the Captur to be more fuel efficient than the Duster. Any other questions? Right.
Automatic transmissions are in the pipeline, but when they arrive is not too clear for now.
And
if you're waiting for the all-wheel drive Captur, don't hold your breath.
however, in keeping with the premium SUV theme, we really wish that the Captur had borrowed the independent rear suspension from the all-wheel drive Duster. Instead, it has the regular twist beam setup at the rear. However, it has been tuned a bit differently. There is a bit more firmness to the setup and you can feel the difference at low speeds.
You do feel a bit of the thunk when you go over ridges like that, which is not something you'd get on the Duster. But the upside to that little added firmness that the Captur has is that you get better body control as well. You can hustle it through corners and it doesn't feel too soft. Is it sporty? No, not quite.
If you choose to hustle it, you'll find that the steering is reasonably quick but not too communicative. And if you chuck it into a corner, the Captur understeers. And the electronic stability control cuts power quickly to keep things safe. While the Captur is predictable when driven fast, better tires would have made the experience just that little bit richer.
Now this is a slightly funny situation, but to help things along, what we're going to do is take the emotional side of the Captur and put that aside. So the design, the aesthetics, we're going to put that aside and look at what it has to offer. From behind the wheel, it's a very familiar package in the way it performs, the way it rides, the way it handles. Yes, it is a bit different. It definitely feels more controlled in terms of its ride, in terms of the way it goes through corners. But is it sporty? Not really. Is it extra fun? Not that either. You look at the cabin, definitely very usable, but is it super spacious? Does it feel more premium? Yes, it does. Does it set a new benchmark? Not quite. But then when you bring in the aesthetics, the way it looks on the outside, the greater sense of premiumness on the inside, the features that it has to offer, again, where it could have done a bit better, but you put it all together and you end up with a package that does answer our original question quite well. Do we like the Renault Captur? We do. And if it is priced between the 13 and 14.5 lakh rupee range, I think this new SUV from Renault is going to be in a particularly sweet spot.